Hi, I'm Christopher Hine, and today we're going to talk about Juji Nage. So what is Juji Nage? I'm going to give you an overview of it, sometimes called Juji Guruma. There's lots of different names. It's the figure 10 position, 10 in Japanese, which looks like this, and that's this position. I know different people might call this different things. I'm going to tell you why we do it the way we do it, how useful it is, because it's hyper useful, although I think, again, it's a thing that if you're not doing regular kaishiwaza and randori, then you're not going to see it as much, although it comes up a ton. So arm grappling, it's super essential. I'm going to call Josh over here. We're going to go to work. Josh? Let's talk about some Juji Nage. So Juji Nage is a real cool technique. It's much more useful in armed grappling in its like full version than it is in more of what I consider the Aikido context, although it comes up in Aikido a fair amount. But you kind of have to understand what it is, and basically it's just getting the arms to cross and then what you're going to do with the arms from the cross position. So it seems silly, you know, like I'm going to grab this guy or something and then I'm going to go and I'm going to cross his arms. That seems silly. But it happens really naturally in lots and lots of ways, right? So, for example, let's say I had a weapon here, right? And Josh grabbed me, okay? Grab the other way and it'll just be easier for the camera. Okay, so he grabs me here, and I want to clear the weapon. Okay, now I can clear the weapon, but he's just going to immediately reach and grab, and you're going to kind of learn this in arm grappling. It happens a lot where you make an escape and then they immediately grab you again, right? And your escape was no good. So I want to do something so he can't immediately grab with this hand again, right? Now I've isolated this hand, so what's he going to do? He's going to grab me with the other hand. What did Josh just do to himself? Well, he set himself up for Juji Nage is what he did, right? So that happens constantly. If you have an arm grappling practice, you will constantly see one person getting free and either going to cut the other person or the other person just instinctively reaching with that hand, and now we're going to bind one against the other, and that's naturally going to happen over and over and over. In our Aikido context, usually the solution is going to be simple. It's going to be about that, and then bang, 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 I'm going to go back to work, because it's a lot more work and time to deal with this guy standing up in that Juji position or in any position, and I just want to get rid of him. So most of the time we see them as just clearing techniques, right? Okay, so that's going to happen anytime we're across the body. I grab and isolate a hand, and I come in to get him, and he stops me. That's fine, boom, and then I'm going to bind up his arms. All right, now, from the bound up position, what should we be looking for? All right, now if we're looking for a takedown, which could be something you're looking for, there's a few things you want to get in line, right? So one thing you'd like to do is I want to get the inside of one of his elbows to touch the inside of the other elbow. Now, depending on how big his chest is and how flexible his arms are, that might not even be possible, but that's the angle I'm headed, and the more I head into that angle, I'm going to create a ton of tension in his back right here, right? So he's going to feel like his back's getting ripped apart because I'm driving this one down and turning it in like this, and I'm driving this one up and turning it like this. So they're not just being twisted around each other, they're being forced together. So the insides of those elbows are touching, and the more you do that, the more compression he'll get. Now, so what that will do is it will make him want to move around because he wants to get the heck out of there, right? So I'm like this and I start doing it, and the second he starts moving, that's fine, I'm going to get something in there, right? And I'm going to set up some kind of position. All right, now how do I get the takedown? Well, I can get it in tons of ways. Right now I have to work with these cameras, but so no, you're fine. I could get it here by doing a back leg sweep. I could do it in an intense way like a Koshinage, right? So I can set him up with a Koshinage that way. If he wants to take high falls, I could just drive into him like this. And I say wants to take high falls, meaning that I could just torque his arms so hard that he'll let himself come over because he's just getting torqued so much and he doesn't like it. But that's a number of ways, right? I can do it front leg sweeps, right? So I can come in here, I can sweep his legs, all kinds of ways I can get this guy down from there. Any classic throw you would see from a jiu-jitsu school is available to you in this Juji Nage position. Even if you look in some old texts, there's Sayo Nages done like this, right? So anytime I got those arms bound up, it's just going to be slightly easier to throw them with a classic takedown and throw. In Aikido, usually you're seeing it where I turn and he turns his body this way, and then boom, he just comes down. Okay, now from this perspective, how am I going to pin this guy? Okay, now there's tons of pins that are done in classic Aikido. I use my own pin that I think works really good. It's the only face-up pin I have in my system, which is to, once he's juji'd here, drive this shin across that arm, right? And it will trap it really well. Get that arm out of there. Real hard to, right? Because this arm's trapping him on top and I have it secure, and this leg, my whole leg and all my body's driving into him. Then this hand, sorry Josh, I'll take a little pressure off. Take this hand off and I cap the elbow. Okay, now this is a really decent position to hold him. Now as he's squirming around, I do basically knee ride, which you would do like, so if you did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, a knee ride's just, I rest all my weight on top of him this way, and then as he moves around, I stay with him. You do exactly the same thing, except you got those arms capped while you're doing it. What's great about this is, even if he had a knife, say in this hand, and he stabs me, okay, maybe he had a knife in this hand, and he stabs me, okay, really, really hard to use those weapons. It also means it's hard for him to get a weapon. So if I'm doing some kind of control and I'm scared this guy's got a weapon somewhere I don't know about, that Juji pin will work really well for you. Now, all of that's really in the context of armed grappling, right? So for an Aikido context, most of the time, I use Juji just as Hadoki, right? So let's say Josh had me here, right? So he'd grab me and I come over to pop him, boom, just driving one arm into the other, and that's Juji. You can see it right there. So Juji is just figure 10 like this. That's how I use it most of the time, is just to escape. So I'm using it just to pop free. So I don't have an obsession with using it to control him. I just have an obsession with getting free. And it will happen all the time where he's doing one thing with one hand and he'll reach across his body. So anytime you can get them to do this, or they choose to do this, you can get Juji in that automatically. And you should be using it because it'll come up a lot and it really is kind of confusing to their brain. And out of that, you'll end up getting other things as well. So it's a good setup for other things. So that's an overview of Juji Nage, what I think it's useful for, how it comes up, how I do the pin. That's it. I'm Christopher Hines, Joshua T, my Solano McDaniels hanging out over there. All right, thanks a lot for watching.